there's nothing like cracking that cellophane and pulling that record out. It just smells great.
Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Non-stop hardcore energy.
I love the show, guys. You're awesome.
Unlike any other.
With your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bod Father.
Man, this stuff rocks. Hey, what's up? This is Frank Bello from Anthrax, and you are listening to BODS Mayhem Hour. Turn it up!
The views and opinions of the guest do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of BODS Mayhem Radio Network, its staff, affiliates, or sponsors. Parental discretion is advised. Welcome to BODS Mayhem Radio Network.
There we go. Hey, everybody. Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I'm your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bod Father. And as always, I'm bringing you guys and gals awesome interviews. And today, it's a very huge honor and privilege to welcome back Mr. Frank Bello. He's the bassist of the mighty Anthrax. And he has a book that's getting ready to be released October the 12th via Rare Bird book. The book, I guess, Rare Bird Publishing, I should say. Mm-hmm. And the book is called Fathers, Brothers, and Sons Surviving Anguish, Abandonment, and Anthrax, the new memoir from Anthrax bassist Frank Bello with Joe, and I hope I pronounced his name right, McIver.
That's it, you got it.
The foreword was written by none other than Kiss singer bassist Gene Simmons, and Frank's been with Anthrax for like 40 years now. So, man, if you guys have not heard of Anthrax, do yourself a favor and go listen to them. Trust me, I'm not saying it because Frank's on here, but do it right now. So, Frank, man, how you doing? And how excited are you about this book?
John, I'm doing all right. Thanks for having me, man. It's a crazy time in all of our lives, as you know this, John, as everybody knows.
Yeah.
And we've had some time. Look, you see where I am right now, John? I'm in my basement, right? This is my basement where I've lived. Pretty much my family's upstairs. My wife's working on her computer. My son was on computer for his schooling. So everybody's been in this house. So over this period of time, we've all been really in our house in New York. Mm-hmm. I wrote this book with Joe MacGyver, my co-writer, and it was that time. We've been wanting to do it we've been talking about it for years. I know Joe quite a long time, and we've been talking about doing this for years. And one day he called me. He asked me, "Is this the right time?" I said, "I think it is." And this is it, man. So, and it's not just your typical rock and roll book. It's really a little bit of both. It's got the rock and roll stories in it that I think people will love. I mean, talking about bands like Metallica and stuff, all my friends. Sure. And that's all fun, but it's a deeper thing than that, deeper subject. It's about abandonment, to be honest. I grew up in a family where my dad, unbeknownst to me why, took off when I was 10 years old, a family of 5, and I was the oldest. So he left us, and there was no money, all that stuff. And it really is, this book is really about how I did it and how I brushed myself off of all that stuff. And instead of having that gut feeling, that loss, that something was missing because I didn't have a dad and all that stuff. So that I wanted to take the place of that. So, what did it for me? Mm-hmm. It was music.
Oh, yeah.
Music. And we were just talking about this a little while ago, John, how important music is to us. So my thing was, and it doesn't have to be music. It could be art. It could be writing. It could be anything. Yeah. What I'm trying to do here is there's a lot of people hurting out there. A lot of people have a loss in their life, whatever kind of loss you have, something that there's an emptiness inside. What I'm trying to do here, and this is my take on it, this is how I brushed myself off, and I had tunnel vision for the music thing. You can do that with anything you want in your life, music, writing, art, whatever it is, the passion in your life, you can brush that stuff off and you can fill that void. That's what it is for me. I just want to, there's a lot of people hurting. There's a lot of people hurting out there. And for me, I just kind of want to give back at this point because I've had this wonderful life after that happened. But there's a way to do this. There's a way out of that feeling, that emptiness, like that. It's like a hollowness that I don't want anybody to feel. I guess I'm at that point in my life. It's like, why would I want anybody to feel bad? I don't. So if I can say something or if I can help them with something that fills that gap and maybe get on with their life and move on, that's what it's all about. So I guess that's where we're at with this book.
Yeah, and it's like when I read this book and I absolutely love it. And it's like me and you connected. I was like, oh my God, he's kind of like me in a sense because I lost my dad in 1999 when I just turned 18 years old.
Wow.
And I had to like get out and start working, things like that. So I was like, man, me and Frank kind of connect on this. And I know people's going to think I'm crazy when I say this, but like music, it saved your life. Music saved my life. And now I'm doing this podcast to help other people, just like I told you earlier. And then you're doing the same thing with Anthrax.
Dude, you see how we're pushing it forward? You see how you're doing it, which is great with the podcast? That's all I'm saying. Why not? Why does it always have to be negative? There's so much negativity and all that stuff. Look, I'm not a preacher or anything like that. I don't want people to feel bad. I'm tired of this shit. I want people to start feeling good about themselves. And maybe like you do, you're pushing it forward to make other people feel good. Why not do that? That's just the way I feel about life now. It's like, wait, there's so much pain, so many people dying with this COVID thing. There's a lot of pain. Why can't we just help people get to the next day without feeling like shit every day? I don't want people to feel like shit. I just want people. That's the way I am. I just want people to feel good.
My mother's elderly, and I'm blessed and very thankful she had COVID, but she's still here with me.
Wow,
So,
God bless. Good. Love to hear that.
She didn't have the very bad case of it, but to us it was just like, our normal sinus colds. You know what I'm saying? But I wasn't worried about myself. I was worried about her more than anything. So yeah, we're still here. We're still ass kicking.
Dude, and this whole COVID thing, just touch on that for a second. I in my neighborhood here, I love my neighbors. They're good people. A neighbor across the street, Tony, he's a concrete, he's a construction guy. He's a big burly dude, 59 years old. You would never think. One day he comes home, dude. He tells his wife, and I know his wife, he goes, I don't feel good. This is in January. I don't feel good. Comes home from work. He goes to the doctor. They send him right to the hospital. It's COVID. The next day, he went right to the tubes, ventilator, everything. He literally 3 weeks ago just got out of a coma from COVID. He's and the doctor wrote him off. The doctors wrote him off. They said he's done. Don't look forward. Thank God he survived. My neighbor Joe next door, unfortunately, passed. He just had another child, just passed.
Oh, wow.
Out of nowhere. 49 years old, dude. So I see a lot of pain. So I just think people need an uplifting vibe right now because there's so much depression going on and stuff. Like, why not help people, man? And that's kind of where I went with this book. There's so many people like have these bad feelings from maybe their youth or loss or something. Why not be uplifting and say, look, you can do this. You can get out of this mode. Focus on this, go this way. And I'm hoping it does. If it's one, look, and you know this, John, if you could help one person, it's all good. One person out of everybody. That's all that matters. You've done your job, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it's like if one person listens to my podcast, I've done my job.
That's it, dude. And you got to think about it. You're helping. The way I look at it, why not add to humanity instead of the rest? And look, again, it has all these great rock and roll stories. My story with Anthrax, but it also tells you how I got there. You know what I mean? That's the whole thing with the book, how I got there and what made my decision, like this fire in me to do this great music that we love. That fueled it. I wanted to do this music. That's what I don't want to feel like this. I want to go listen to it. I want to make myself better. And that's honestly this music, actually, we talked about before, John. It really saved me. It really did.
It's so beautiful how music is therapy. It's beautiful how it could be your voice when nobody else will listen to you, and they could take your anger away, and they can that music, that band can be your family that accepts you.
Dude, absolutely. You know what, dude? It's nothing better. And look, we all wake up in shit mood sometimes. Sometimes you're just in a bad mood. You know what I do? I block everything out. I get these babies on, right? You get them on and the world is better. That's for me, because you go into your own world and what you just said is correct. It's like it's something that cares about you. You care about it. And it takes that whatever vibe you have going on, it takes it away for a little while that day. And that's why we all love this music. That's why I'm on tour for most of my life. People want to get away from their daily lives and feel good about things. So I guess we're in this business anyway, right? It really is that.
This book is dedicated to your mother, grandmother, wife, son, and brother who you lost in '96. Condolences to him, by the way.
Thank you.
How special is it for you to honor them, Frank, in this book, man?
Great question, John. It's everything. And obviously you're a family guy, as I am. There's a lot of people who just have family and love family. And if you don't, that's fine too. But for me, family is what got me through. It was got me to where it was okay. My grandmother, who passed, rest her soul, I grew up in the house was when my dad took off, my mother really couldn't afford all of us. So I went to go live with my grandmother. And plus I was getting my ass kicked every day at school. So it was a pretty bad area. So I had to move to a different school district too. So long story short, I moved to a different school system, and it worked out better. I live with my grandmother, who was the same house as my drummer Charlie Benanti in Anthrax. So Charlie really got me into music, and therefore the stem of Anthrax was right there growing up. Although I got in the band later, but it all worked out that she gave the go. She gave the okay. My mom gave the okay. My brother Anthony, rest his soul, the background with that is, and there's a whole chapter dedicated to my brother. He was murdered when he was 23 years old.
Oh, geez.
Horrible story. It's just terrible. Unfortunately, it was murdered, and we had to go through the New York court systems, which was horrible. I put it in the book, and I kind of lost myself for a while because I was going to be the revenge guy. To be honest, it didn't matter what band I was in or anything like that. I wasn't that guy anymore, and this is all in the book. And when people read this, they can't believe that this happened. But I didn't know myself. I kind of went dark for a while, and I was definitely looking for the revenge thing. Thankfully, something happened, and it didn't happen, which I was really happy. I thought better, and things came to light, and thankfully I got in my head it just didn't make sense to do that, and just live my life after that. And
Sure.
Thankfully, so it was a dark period in my life, and this is all in the book. That's why people are finding it very interesting, because they don't know any of this stuff, and the people that have read it and are freaking out, which I love because this is my story. It's all honest, and it's true. I grew up in the Bronx, New York. It's it is what it is, and I don't pull any punches. It's very, very honest and real.
Your co-writer Joel and yourself will donate a portion of the proceeds of the book to two charities, one for the children, and the other one is National Father Incentive. Let's talk about that. Why is it so important for you guys to make some donations on this?
Because a lot of people are suffering. I mean, why not? Why not?
Exactly.
It's not about money. This book isn't about money. It's obviously because I don't know what it's going to sell, but what I do know, if people get this book and read it and get something out of it, and maybe treat people differently or in their life, if they just feel better about themselves and then pay it forward like you are. You know what I mean? You see how you're doing it? I believe that can happen. And I'm just tired of people feeling like shit. And those charities help people. And that's very, very important to me nowadays, because why not? Why not? Why wouldn't you want to help somebody when they're in need, man? That's the bottom line. People are hurting. And you say, oh, this metal guy wants to help. Yeah, this metal guy wants to help people. How about that? I want to do that. I put it right to your face. I don't want people feeling like shit. That's why I do music. I want people to feel good from something I wrote. That's the bottom line. I want you to have a good time at this show tonight. And I guess that's what I've been doing all my career. So why not go forward with the book with it? And that's really where we're at with this.
I've gave autograph stuff that I have to folks that, that's their favorite band, and I'll give it to them. I was like, here you go. And it blows them away. It's like, but it's yours, Bod. It's yours. No, if it brings you that much enjoyment seeing it on my wall, here, take it.
Dude, exactly. That's so cool. You know why? Because look, how much of a better feeling was that than just to have that thing on your wall, right? You got, oh, great, I have this cool little thing on my wall. That's great. But if this guy had it, it would just make his day, and he could maybe have a kick in his step for the next day.
Oh, yeah.
And look, again, I'm no angel. I've had my dark periods, and I don't pretend to be. Mm-hmm. But at this time in my life, I've lived a lot. And I've learned a lot. And I think this is the way to go, just to make, especially now with this pandemic, so many people depressed and all that. And then that's compounding onto the original problems they've had. Why not try to help people? It's obvious, man. Come on.
So you said you've been in thoughts with this to do this for a long time. What was that actual push? Was it the pandemic that you just said, okay, let's go ahead and do this? Or did Joe?
Okay. With Anthrax, dude, we tour a lot,
Sure.
John,
Yeah.
we were on the road a lot. I'm away from my family a lot. So when I come home, from those months, whatever weeks it is, I'm a family guy. I want to be with my wife and my kid. And, the last thing you want to think about is talking more about anything else.
Yeah.
You just kind of want to veg out. And look, at the end of the day, we never had this COVID thing. I pray to God it never happens again, this pandemic thing. I hope it goes away forever and we can all live our lives again. But this was, as I say, this room right here, I was writing here. I was was writing music here, writing the book with Joel, just as you and I are doing right now, going over it just about every other day. Great stuff. I've done videos in this basement, so it became, this is my go-to place now. It's like I'm doing all my work here now. Sometimes I don't even go upstairs till like 9 o'clock at night. It's like, for dinner and stuff, like, okay, I forgot about dinner. Sorry. But I think that was the right time. This was the right time, if any time at all, because you can't write on the road. When you're on the road, you go in a hotel, show. You can't really get your thoughts out and stuff like that. And here I felt this time, because we were in lockdown, I thought it was a great time because Joel is great at triggering memories. Joel knows my history, I think, better than me, to be honest with you. And he just says something, and he knows how to light a fire under my memories. And once he did that, my mouth just kept going, and everything came back. And to be honest with you, John, reliving this stuff, sometimes it was very, very painful. Like the stuff with my brother, that chapter, the Cliff Burton stuff, that was very painful because the Metallica touring we did. I love Cliff. I miss him every day. It's just tough. So long story short, with all that stuff, even the stuff with my dad, and then the rock and roll stories we had, like the fun stuff, the touring, and you'll like a lot of them. We'll talk again, but just reliving that was the fun part. So it's like it goes up and down. There's a lot of fun stuff in there to relive, and some deep stuff. So I think people will get a lot out of it. And I know you have to sell a book. I don't want to sell a book. I want this thing could actually make you feel better. That's the way I look at it.
Are you wanting to do another one possibly?
I don't know, dude. Right now, I'm so new to all this.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have asked me that already who've read the book around me. That's fine. And because they really liked it. They say it was very deep and it helped them. It's all great for me to hear. But I want to see the process. Right now, I'm learning the process. I'm talking to you about it. As I'm talking to you, I'm learning, to be honest, John. I'm learning how to do this. I know how to sell a record and music.
Sure.
This is a complete right field.
Yeah.
Because you're exposing yourself. You do that with songs, but this stuff is my home base, like raw. This left me raw. And like I remember getting off some of the writing sessions with Joel, just tearing. Just nonstop crying about some of the stuff that I relived it. You kind of went through it. And it's like, oh my God. And Joel was kind enough to say, Frank, let's just take 5 minutes, take a break, go wash your face off. And it was like that. And I said, no, let's just get through because I have to get through this because I want people to understand. This book was like, imagine, John, you and I going to a bar, sitting at a dark bar. What I wanted to do with this, I wanted to sit at a dark bar with my friend and have a beer and just talk. And that's what I think we set up this book to be. It's me just speaking about my life. And you ask me, so what's going on? How did you do it? And just a bunch of questions, and they're answered. It was very raw.
And plus, Joel is a best-selling author of Justice for All, The Truth About Metallica. So, you're working with somebody who's pushing your buttons to get everything out of you. But how far did he push you, and how far did he let you go with it to say, hey, look, okay, cool.
I think everything was on the table. Everything. Joel is a master. What does he have? 32, 33 books under his belt right now.
Yeah.
The dude knows what he's doing. And, Joel's also, before all this, he's my friend for a long time. So he knows me. He knows me. Not only is the bass player and all that stuff, and that's great, but he also knows me. He knows I'm a family guy. He knows I care deeply about people in general. And I'm an emotional dude. He knows where to go with me. And you know what? And he asked me, he says, is this too much? You don't want to go? I said, no, I think people should know the truth. I think people should know and how this makes you feel, how abandonment makes you feel, that gut emptiness. I think, and maybe that could help people. And I said, because it was, dude, that was a rough time just talking about that stuff and going back again.
Oh, yeah.
Feeling of having no money after abandonment. There was no money in the house. There was no food money. All that stuff. We lost the house. All that stuff was it's not fun to relive. It's very tough. But all I kept thinking is that maybe somebody's going through that right now. Maybe somebody who reads this book is going through that. And they can know that I was able, thankfully, through my family, brush myself off. I was able to brush myself off and have this beautiful thing called music. And that could bring you to that next page in your life. It doesn't have to be music. It could be whatever you want it to be. but there is another day after that. That's mainly the point.
After looking back at all this with this book, what excited you the most about it, if anything? I know helping people and all that, but for you personally?
It's cathartic, to be honest with you. And that sounds like a selfish thing. For me, it was cathartic. Look, I've been through a lot of therapy in my life from my history, and that's the truth. I highly recommend it. I'm not telling people what to do, but if you're having problems, as I did, and tend to do once again, look, I'll go for a tune-up every now and then with the therapist. There's no problem with that. But I think it's cathartic because I needed to get this out to feel good about what I've done, and it goes into the next page of it is it, and why would I want anybody to feel like that?
Sure.
Why, if I can help somebody or anybody, it doesn't matter. I'm in this band that gave me a position, and that's great. Okay, maybe those people who like that band, like my band, understand or in the same position. Why wouldn't I want to help that? If they have it, if I'm in the position to help them, if they want to read something that I put out that helped me, again, I'm not telling you do it. I'm saying this is how it would help me. Maybe you could take something from that and get your life going. That's what it's about, man. Because why not? Why not? We have this much time on the earth. That's the way I look at it. I learned when my brother was murdered at 23 years old, John. We have this much time on the earth, and with this COVID thing, who knows about tomorrow? I'm not going to waste my time by being negative and putting people down. I want people, and because we need more of that on this earth right now, and I want people to have another day and have a better day. How about that?
Mm-hmm. Did this allow you, Frank, though, to let go, to express yourself more that maybe you couldn't have later or previously?
Yeah, absolutely. And you could do that through song. And honestly, when I write stuff, I do that through song, and that's very therapeutic for me. And that's always great. And I'm thankful for that. But not like this. This was so raw, so deep. And again, going back to Joel again, even he was saying, you want to take a break? Because I couldn't believe the way it was coming out. And maybe I needed this. And you could do that with a therapist, which I've done. But this was in a wave, man. This was a wave, and my emotions on it, and how I was trying to find a way to get that next page out of it. You keep using the word page, but the truth of the matter is, you have to get over that hump. Yeah. And that was my quest. My quest was getting over that hump. I don't want to feel that emptiness anymore. And music and family really did that for me. It really filled that gap, and it continues to do it. So that's why the energy from the music, that's why you and I love music, because it still fills that gap. And whatever that angst, that emptiness, whatever that is, man, you plug it in, man. It's right there. And I think other people could do that, not only with music, but whatever they want in life.
Oh, yeah. Gaming or just, anything. That's like you said, exactly right, man. You can always do your own thing, and you don't have to. It's like I've always said, and it used to be in the band I used to be in back in high school. It's like some follow others and others stand alone.
Exactly. And that's fine too. I don't judge anybody. Do what you want to do. But if you're having a tough time of it, right? You know what? There's a way. There's a way to get around that and move on, man. Mm-hmm. And that's what I guess, because a lot of people feel trapped. A lot of people feel trapped in their predicament, whatever that may be. I just want to let people know. I know there's a lot of darkness right now. For me, man. This is the way I did it, and maybe it could help you if you could take this and find your own way. And that's really what it's about, man.
I gotta say, man, your grandmother Tina was a badass, and you didn't want to mess with her.
I love her. She was the best, man. She was the best woman on earth. She was the best person on earth. She was the angel. And I have to say that now you understand, she was Charlie Benanti, the drummer of Anthrax. That was his mother, right? Right. So she was the angel. And look, I love my mom, so I don't want to leave her out of it. The women in my life I'm pro girl, man. I'm pro women, because they were very important. They picked it up when my dad took off, right? Mm-hmm. They picked it all up and held the fort, right? Mm-hmm. Very, very important. So I'm pro girl. So this book's I'm pro girl, and you understand the importance of women in my life, because I'm all about that. I married a very strong woman. I'm married for 23 years. I love her. Family's more important to me than anything, period. Yeah. So I just think this is my story. And if you guys can get anything out of it, it's all good. That's the way I look at it.
I gotta ask this though, because she
Yeah, man.
could make a mean Italian meal, man, the real deal. How was her food? Because I'm a big guy. I love food.
John, I love food too, dude. I'm Italian American, and I'll be honest with you, there was nothing like it. And I say this, I use Martin Scorsese's name in this because my life was very much like a Martin Scorsese film. When you see the food on the table, and it always makes you hungry, and when you see how delicious the food looks. Look at a movie like Goodfellas, and he has that great spread of food on the table.
Oh yeah,
tables.
Yeah,
that's the kind of food my grandmother was the best. She put out a whole spread, and she did it from scratch, dude. You smell it in the morning. The morning you smell it. We used to say gravy for sauce. You used to smell it. You wake up, and I thought all I can think of immediately waking up, I smell the sauce, gravy, whatever you want to call it. I would go down, and first thing I had for breakfast was a piece of Italian bread, dipping it in the gravy, and that was my breakfast because it was that good. It was because that you knew she had it going, and you knew the rest of the day. So I didn't eat after that because I knew the meal I was going to have. It was love. Food was love. You know what I mean? It really was that, and she put all the love into it, everything. The cookies, she has these three. I talk about it because she's, in my mind, she's still here, right? I said has, because she's still here in my life. So she had these 3-color cookies that she did from scratch, and they can be sold anywhere in the world and be sold out. They were the best things ever. Since then, my younger cousins are trying to make them the way she is, but there's still a little bit missing from the rest. But they tried, so which is all good. But it's all, what I'm trying to get to is it's all my family was all love. It was all love, and I was very lucky that helped me through this whole thing. So it's very important to me.
The book took me back to like it was me kind of growing up because I got picked on a lot, and when those bullies started fucking with you, man, I got angry. I said, I wish I was like on one of those cars that pop up and go.
You kind of live through it, right?
Oh yeah. It's
That's what everybody's telling me.
I was a big guy, and trust me, I got it. I got it bad.
So, John, that whole thing, that's what people who are reading the book around me, because it's not released yet, but people that are starting to read the book, I'm finding they're living their life through it, which is kind of cool to see. And that's kind of what I wanted to do, because I wanted them to see that you can get out of that. Because I literally, I was getting my ass kicked. When I say this, no exaggeration. So the story is, in the book, when my dad took off, we lost the house. So we had to go move to another smaller, I call it like an apartment building kind of vibe, where it wasn't the best area, it wasn't the best neighborhood. Long story short, new school district. I was the new kid. On my way to walking to school, every day, I'm telling you, every day, these two specific kids, there was one big dude specifically, he had it out for me. I couldn't walk by this one road I had to go to get to my school. He got me, he had the other kid block me, and he would get me from behind, and they would continue to be, this is every day on the way to the school. And this is why there's a lot of scarring, obviously, as I talk about this. A lot of therapy for this one. So as they beat me, the only way to get away from this, I couldn't run, because every time I tried to run, one of them would tackle me and get me down again. I would have to run under a car. You know where the mufflers is on a car? Mm-hmm. That was my safety net, because if you go right under where they can't kick anymore, they can't get you. So I had to wait there. I mean, sometimes it was hours. I was late for school, everything. And I waited like this so they couldn't kick anymore. I was scrunched up, and I remember this stuff. It was terrible. It was terrible until they stopped. And so I have that, a lot of that pain that helped. And I know a lot of people, bullying's terrible. It's terrible. I don't react well to bullying. Even if I smell bullying, I'm going right to it right now. That's the way I learned, because nobody should be bullied. Nobody. Exactly. And if there's any bullying in my son's school, I'm going right to the principal and the cops. I'm bringing a cop with me. That's the way it rolls with me now. So I was the guy that was bullied, period. And I don't think it's good for anybody. So, so I have a lot of that scarring going on. And that's going into a lot of songs too. So aside from the book. So, but you relate to it. And I love that you relate to it, because a lot of people have been through this in their life.
Yeah. All right, now you knew a few Italian kids you like to call Guidos, and I like saying that Guidos. My redneck accent.
I
Guidos.
say it lovingly, by the way. I don't say it's not a derogatory thing.
No, it's
Plus,
not.
We're good kids.
Right.
For me, they have a certain. I say Guidos because they have a certain look. They had the short hair.
Yeah.
Look, that was in then. You know, it was in, and they were my friends. To be honest with you, they were my friends.
But the cool part is, you said, I don't want to go out and party tonight because I have to get up early in the morning to go get Rush's new album and stand in line. Okay, this blows my mind because it's just like me with Metallica. How important is Rush to you at that point?
Everything. They were my training. Training. You know, my training for bass was that because I was so addicted to playing. And Geddy Lee was one of my favorites. Steve Harris, Geezer Butler. These guys, when they have new records coming out, that was very important because I wanted to see what they were thinking in their new playing for the new record. So that was going to help, and I wanted to adapt that and incorporate that into my playing. So no matter what the record sounded like, and of course I knew it was going to sound great, but because I'm a diehard fan. Mm-hmm. So my thing was to wait when the store. I was there when the store opened, and it was important to get there. And I got the record. I went right home, and look, and I worked at my Uncle Joe's Deli. So the Guidos, my friends, they used to come in and say, "Hey, we're going out. You want to come out?" And I said, no. I said, "Dude, I got work to do tonight." "What do you mean you got work? You finished working here at 8:00?" I said, "No, work. I'm going to be playing all night. Just got the new Rush album." They didn't know Rush. They heard about it, and all that. I said, "Look, I'll be playing all night. So you guys have a good time, enjoy yourself." And that was much more important to me than going out and blowing all my money and all that stuff and getting wasted. I just wasn't into that. My focus, and maybe that was from my upbringing. Maybe from what I learned, this discipline that I had to do this, and that filled the emptiness. Buying that Rush album filled that emptiness we were talking about before, and it made me want to do that. And it really took my head to a different place. So learning that Rush record, and believe me, I learned every part of it. It was very important to me.
Yeah, I was smiling ear to ear when I was reading. I was like, how cool is that, man? To see, Frank from Anthrax telling the story, and then he's like giddy over a Rush album. You know what I mean? It's like, gotta go.
It's still everything to me. It's still everything to me. I still keep up with these guys doing it. If they put out, and Geddy's last solo record was awesome. Alex is coming out with something soon. God rest Neil's soul. That'll always be very important to me. But the musicians in my life that I grew up with, the guys in Kiss, all that stuff. Gene wrote the foreword, for God's sake. For me, Gene's foreword in this, and if people out there who haven't read it, who will read it, it's heartfelt. It's a different side of Gene. If you know what I'm talking about, John. It's really he talks about his personal life with his experience with his dad, which I never really knew about, to tell you the truth. And it was very heartfelt, and I love him for reading it, for writing that for me. And I take it as a diehard Kiss fan, growing up, and Gene absolutely being one of my heroes and almost like a father figure to look up to. And since Gene did this, I can do that. It was one of those. For him to write it and write such a great forward, everybody who reads that thing is really touched. So I'm really psyched about that, and very I'm hopeful that people will get something out of it.
So the first Kiss album you heard was Alive, which Charlie had. What was it about that album, Frank, that blew you away and hooked you instantly?
Well, first it was the look. It was the look. Sure. I remember, as I'm talking to you right now, John, I remember Charlie opening it. We lived in the same house, so it was like one of we were like brothers for the most part. Sure. I remember him opening it and saying, "What the hell is this?" with my eyes wide open. That opened my world. And then putting it on the vinyl, the vinyl on the record, and hearing the crackling, and all of a sudden, gas, and all of a sudden you hear the first song. Like, what is this? Yeah. It was immediate, dude. When I tell you immediate love, and they said this, I said, I had no idea who sang. What you can't picture the guy singing. Who sings in the band? Who does this? And you try to put that in your head before I saw anything on them. And that was it, man. For me, I knew that's exactly what I wanted to do. I said, I want to be on stage and do this, and because this is, again, going back to that feeling. This is filling that thing up, man. This is going to get me over this hump, and that was my goal. It really was.
It's amazing how it blows my mind when I think about this, how Kiss just about missed it from being huge without, just being a studio band. If they didn't do their touring, man, their live stuff, they were done. I was like, it's hard for me to even think about that.
because people, with their live show, I mean, obviously, but for me, it was always about the music with Kiss. Yeah, the live show was awesome. Of course, come on, it's Kiss.
Yeah.
But the music, I thought, great songs from the beginning, dude. Great songs. These were Beatlesque kind of written songs for me, and they were very hooky, they were rock and roll, dude. For me, when people nailed Kiss for their songs, I'm like, no, I don't agree. Kiss had awesome. They have awesome songs. That's an awesome catalog. I still listen to Kiss. Older Kiss for me is untouchable. It was a very great time in my life. It made me want to play. Because it was just a great time in life, and they had great songs, and they had this great stage thing, man. This whole theatrical vibe on stage. Those were my superheroes. You have to think about that. As a young, impressionable kid that I was, growing up without a dad, I saw Kiss on the stage. I said, that's something to look forward to. That is taking me out of this feeling that I have, this hurting feeling. Man, that makes me feel good. And that's what I was doing. I saw that, I said, man, this is the way I want to feel. How about I follow that? And for me, that's what I did.
Comics are big with a lot of us. How does it feel for you guys to have worked with Z2 Comics with a graphic novel, man, and celebrate the 40th anniversary of the album Among the Living from 1987 that inspired a lot of bands to this day? How does it feel, man?
It feels great. I have to tell you this, John. Even when I hear that inspired a bunch of bands, I don't feel like it's 40 years. So when I hear the number 40, isn't that crazy? 40 years? You and I growing up, we hear 40. Oh, that's old. I think Anthrax, our spirit, is anything but old, because I can be honest and say this. As we're writing this new record, we're hungrier and just biting at the bit to get out there again. And for the new music and everything we have planned, this whole 40th thing, which is great. You probably saw the webisodes, the web series, right?
Yeah.
It's a big hit with people because people are learning, I guess, and to be honest, I'm learning a lot too. Just watching it and relearning what we did and remembering. It brought back so many great memories. And then seeing the people that were affected, like these people like Corey Taylor, all our friends getting in on it, Slash, all these great people, Henry Rollins, all these really wonderful, great rock people, and Keanu Reeves, for God's sake. I mean, all these people are influenced by Anthrax in some way and on that ride. And I learned a lot just from watching my band members, how they felt at that time. So we never really talked about that. So for me as a band member, seeing how my other band members were feeling, it was a learning experience for me. So this whole ride, I felt that we've had a great run. I'm happy. But the great thing about it is that we're not anywhere near close to done because we're hungrier than ever. So I think this all leads to the next page. Again, I'm using the word page. I'm psyched about tomorrow because I know what we're writing right now. It's some of the heaviest stuff we've written so far. I'm very psyched about that. So if you like that, watch this. It's very much like that. So in the spirit of metal and music and all that stuff, it's all a very positive thing that's going on right now.
Are you guys working on anything? I mean, you said you were working on some stuff, but when can we possibly see something out? Maybe
22.
by Anthrax.
22. Yeah, I mean, you know what? If you think about it now, John, what's going on? Because we don't know what's going to be closed down. We don't know because everything's crazy right now still with this new variant and all that stuff. So we have to play. You have to play it right. So from what I'm hearing, the promoters and everything else, tours and all that stuff, we're doing periodic shows. I think we're doing some festivals this year, right? But for touring, as far as that go, so you want to release a record when you can tour, so you could support it, right?
Sure, exactly.
So that's the idea. So next year that's the plan for next year. So hopefully everybody's healthy. We could all get out to shows and we could all stand next to each other, right? I'm hoping that all happens. So the plan is to release it next year and have everything follow it up with a tour right away. That's the way to do it right, because you want to support that record. You can't just throw it out there and not have anything behind it, because how will people know you have a record out? There's no there's no radio or anything like that, right?
Right. The live streams, stuff like that. But that just, to me, that just doesn't do it justice. They've been good, but it just doesn't do it justice of being live in front of you guys.
Dude, there's nothing like an energy. You know this with the live show. There's nothing like. We just did a live stream and that was fun. It was great. It went over really well. A lot of people watched it and it was a great thing. I enjoyed it. But there still is nothing like feeling the energy from the crowd, feeding us. We're feeding you, and we have this one big energy together, creating this vibe. There's nothing like that in the world. So for me, I can't wait to get back to that. And it's, there's not, we had a show last week in Cadott, Wisconsin. We played a festival. And it was great. It was great to get back to it. It was also 115 degrees on stage, it felt like. But it was because the sun was right on us, it was blaring. But it was still fun. It was still great to get back on and taste it a little bit. And for all of us, just to give everybody a little hope, it's right there. We'll get there. It's right there. And hopefully we're going to get over this hump, and everybody gets healthy soon.
There's a hidden track entitled Pieces on the Anthrax 1998 Volume 8, The Threat Is Real album. Now, this is dedicated to your brother. Condolences again. Did this allow you and your family, Frank, to start the healing process and to get things out that you needed to say in this song, possibly?
Yeah. The story, and thank you for asking this, John. The story with that is Anthrax was on tour. My brother was murdered on, unfortunately, March 25th, 1996. Anthrax had a Japanese tour planned a few weeks later. And if we would have backed out of it, I was not a headspace, obviously, for the obvious reasons. I was not in the headspace to do anything with Anthrax or anybody else. I just wanted to be in my room and cry. That's all I wanted to do. So, long story short, I got it through the wire that if we didn't do this tour, we were going to lose a lot of people. Were going to lose a lot of money. Our crew, everybody involved with Anthrax was going to lose a lot of money. Where if I didn't do the tour, long story, and they couldn't get a replacement. It wasn't going to work like that. So, long story short, I said, okay, let's just do it. But all I wanted to do was just be in my room. Like I want to go to the show, and I just want to go back to my room so I could just cry. That's all I wanted to do was just cry, and that's what I was doing the whole time. What I did in that room was write this song Pieces, and because it was cathartic for me, it helped me talk. If you listen to this song, and it's a hidden track on Volume 8, and it's a song called Pieces. It's me talking to my brother, and I know you're still here, even though they took you from us, but it's a song talking to my brother. Like I know I didn't get a chance to say goodbye to you, but this is my saying goodbye to you. But I know you're still here. And if you listen, like even when I talk about it, I start tearing up, but it helps a lot of people, that song. A lot of people have found that song, and they've come up to me and say, that helped me through this time in my life. It's really about one of those kind of like, it's going to be all right. I know you're still here. It's like, it's a belief thing. It's a belief thing that I have, that I need. And again, this is all in my book. And when I think I'm planning, and the publisher's planning, I think we're going to put some events together with the signings. We're going to do some Q&A shows around and events around the world. And I think, we're talking about me maybe bringing an acoustic to some of these things and maybe playing that song. Yeah. And a couple of other songs surrounded around it and people understand it. And after you read the book, you'll understand what the song means. It's all about that. It's me talking to my brother. Honestly,
that's beautiful.
Thanks, beautiful, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, even talk about it. Even I started thinking of the lyrics. I literally wrote it and recorded it it was 2 weeks within his passing, and and you could hear I'm literally crying when I'm singing it. So it's just a tough thing. But you know what? And the only way to do it now is if it's going to help somebody. And there's a lot of loss out there, man. If that helps people through something, man. Again. That's what it's about, and that's what it's supposed to be about.
Folks, the touring life isn't beautiful because Anthrax and Metallica toured a lot together, and they had a lot of bologna on hand sandwiches, as I call them. So,
dude, and you know what? You pay your dues.
Yeah,
and that's all called. And remember, you're young, you're hungry, literally hungry, and you say, if there's not enough food back, I remember the first Anthrax tour. I remember we were in a van, all band and crew, and when I say crew, there's a couple of our friends hanging out, really. Yeah. They were friends just chilling. So there was no money. I think we got $5 a day. That was for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You got to make $5 work for all of that. Good. So yeah, and I remember going to Europe. A lot of that food that I wasn't crazy. It was some kind of they just put some stuff backstage. I just didn't understand. And I was very young, and I wasn't really out of my home eating all the food. So I remember eating a lot of cheese and bread. A lot of cheese and bread, dude.
Now, I know you knew the mighty Cliff Burton, and he's made a huge impact on me. who was way ahead of his time as a musician. And no one at that time, Frank, just as I do, couldn't touch him.
Yeah.
What he did on the wah-wah pedal with that bass. But what's it mean to you to have people still to this day share stories about Cliff, and even people discovering his bass playing and trying to learn as much about him as they can, even in 2021, man? I mean, how crazy is that?
And you hit a good note there, John, because the reason why I have a whole chapter on Cliff, because he's that important. I think people should know how great Cliff Burton was.
Yes.
Honestly. Yes. I mean, I know people know Cliff Burton, but I wanted to give my perspective. I thought it was important because I want to carry on his name. And I think it's important coming from me, another bass player, a friend of his, and plus a fan of his. You have to understand I was a fan of Cliff. So when we toured with Metallica, we did quite extensive touring with Metallica in the early days. Just watching him, I watched for Cliff. Yeah, great band. I love the band. But I was focused on Cliff because he did something different every night in that bass solo. There was always maybe a little lick that he did that I wanted to just learn. I just said, and I'd ask him about it. I'd ask him, what was that thing you did? And, because I'm a student of this stuff. So Cliff was an innovator. He thought outside the box. And this is why I want people to know how great of a bass player. He went for it. He didn't stay safe. He played the song, of course, but there was always something very cool, very tasty he did in his playing. And his bass solos, just incredible. He always went for it. He went outside the box. There was always something a little different every night. That's why I would watch every night from the soundboard, because I found it that interesting. And I thought it was important for people to know that are reading this book to know how great of a bass player and person he was. He was I love his sarcasm. He was a great jokester. It was just fun. He was a fun dude, man. So I just want people to carry on his name. I think that's important.
And it's crazy, and I'm going to throw this out here because we talked about this a little bit before the interview, how in 1999 it saved somebody from taking their life. You know what I'm saying? How his music stopped me from, you know what I'm saying? It's like that bass tone, man, that bass tone is just so beautiful.
John, again, you're talking about music helping people right there. Yeah, you said it, dude. And that's a great thing. And again, if you didn't listen to that, who knows what would have happened, right? Who knows?
Exactly.
So so again, it's a very positive thing. And again, I look at Cliff and I still learn off of him. You know what I mean? You could still do that. It's forever. I want that to be forever. It should be noted that way.
Exactly.
He left gifts for us. That's the way I look. That music that he left, that's a gift. His innovation with bass, that's a gift for the bass players of future. I think that's important. So future bass players know Cliff Burton. I think it's important.
I just thought of this. It's like I was sitting here thinking of anesthesia and pull of teeth, and I'm like, Cliff going, okay, your turn.
Yeah, right.
It's like, what? I can't do no better than that. What? No.
Yeah, you just want but he would do that, and that's fun. The great thing about Cliff, you could watch that and just be amazed. You just watch it. I watch sound checks and just say with his wah and this stuff, the sounds that were coming out alone. It's like, what the hell was that? It just it was something to really watch and learn off of it, and I think that's a gift to all of us, honestly.
2021, we're still talking about the mighty Clifford Burton, folks.
How great is that, right? and he should be noted, and he should be talked about forever. That's
exactly. The way I look at it. What's being a father mean to you to be there for your son, Frank?
Oh, you got a great question there, John. Being a father and a good father, I have to say this. Look, I'm not saying I'm the best father. I think I'm a really good dad. I try to be the best father I am. So now you guys know my history. I want to prove to myself and to everybody that I can be the best father I can be. And I'll do anything I can for my son. Anything I'm physically able to do for my son, I'm going to do, period. I want him to grow up right. I want to have discipline. The discipline I want him to learn the right ways of life, being a good person coming up. And I don't want him to feel that emptiness, to be honest. I don't want anybody to feel that emptiness. I will never let my son feel the emptiness that I felt growing up without a dad. If I can help it, if I can stay on this earth, believe me, dude, and I pray to God I can stay on this earth, I will be here. And that's my whole point. I will be here for my son. it's not even a thought. I'm not going. If I have to go work on tour, that's fine. But guess where I'm going to be as soon as I get off that plane?
Dad.
With my son. And I don't care how old he is. He's going to be 50. He can be 50 years old. I want to be there for my son. That's embedded in my brain. And I wish dads. I know a lot of great dads in my band. I have a lot of great dads in Anthrax. They're all great. Charlie, Scott. They're great dads, and I love that we have that bond together. We want to be great dads, and we are. We try to do everything we can within reason, and just give them the right upbringing. And I wish. Hey, look, if you read this book and get that out of it, please do that, because that's all I want to do, is making sure I'm putting a good person on this earth and training him the right way to be a good person and carry that on with his kids. That's what it is, because I want to break that cycle from me. I want to break what I had. So I think it's important.
Yeah, folks, this is a great book. I got to read some of this, and then I'm digging. I'm going to finish it up later this evening, but it's very good. So, Frank, how can folks stay in touch with you? Buy this book from Rare Bird Publishing, I guess?
Rare Bird, I can tell you. You can go to Rare Bird Publishing. It's called rarebirdlit.com. So www.rarebird, RAREBIRDLIT.com. So www.rarebirdlit.com. They have signed from me books, so you can get it there. So they have a bunch of them, which I'm still signing, by the way, which is great. So you get a signed copy from there, or it's available on Amazon, which is all pre-orders right now, because the book, we talked about this before, comes out October 12th. So I'm very excited about it, and I hope you give it a read. It's an easy read from what I've heard. Everybody's saying it's an easy read, so it's not complicated. It's all from the heart.
And folks, if you want to stay in touch with Anthrax, just Google Anthrax, Facebook. They're all over the place. And trust me, if you can't find Anthrax, the band, there's something wrong. Then come ask me. I'll lead you in the right way.
Yeah, you can get I'm on Instagram and all that stuff at the Frank Bello. If you want to hit me up, say hello. I'm all around. So it's all good.
And before I let you go, would you care to do a promo for my show, sir?
Of course I will. Hey, what's up? This is Frank Bello from Anthrax, and you are listening to BODS Mayhem Hour. Turn it up!
Everybody stick around. We got some great stuff coming up, and you only hear these interviews right here on BODS Mayhem Hour Podcast. Check out our Facebook page. It's got our YouTube page. It's got our YouTube page, and you want to subscribe to that YouTube page, because we got a lot of stuff to give away. Ace Frehley, Alice Cooper tour. We're giving tickets away for that. Plus, we got other stuff to give away. Yeah, yes, sir.
I want to see that.
And please get out and give Anthrax a chance, folks. And please stick around. We got some great stuff coming up. So, Frank, my man, thank you so much for doing this interview with me.
Thank you, John. Thanks for having me, man. And thank you for being so in depth with the book. I really appreciate it, brother.
You're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.